Before I start the video, I just wanted to tell you guys that this week I will be executing charity streams for a few organizations that are helping out with the second wave that is engulfed the country. My first guest will be Zain and Shubham from Men's XP this Monday at 6 p.m. So do tune in and help out in any way you can. Our guests on Wednesday will be Ashish Chanchlani and Ehsas Channa, so do drop in for that as well. If you've been an avid viewer of this channel, I have created videos recommending the Hindi film industry, several stories from Indian mythology and history that can turn into epic films. While there has been a constant debate about the execution of these projects and whether they will ever live up to the expectations of the layered written material, I believe risks is something that the industry has been averse to and can only benefit from the rich material that is already available here, rather than borrowing from elsewhere. When it was announced that Kunal Kohli is creating a series on Ramayana, I was intrigued as I believe it still is a universal story of good versus evil that can translate into an interesting piece of work, if told with a responsibility towards the text and truly fleshing out the world and its characters. Ramyug is an 8-episode series that is available for free on the MX Player platform and is a retelling of Ramayana, with several takes and changes referencing the current political scenario of India that is best understood by the creators themselves. स्टोरी श्री राम के 14 साल के वनवास से ही शुरू होती है, लेकिन keeps on getting into flashbacks, or more accurately does a back and forth to provide context of the characters, where they are and where they are headed. But I have to admit that I keep on getting flashbacks to the Ramanand Sagar 1987 TV show, and even one of my favorites, the Indo-Japanese collaboration of 1992, Ramayana: The Legend of Prince Ram. So forgive me, but I'll constantly reference these two pieces of work as they are etched in history. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the series so that you guys can ultimately decide whether Ramyug on MX Player is worth your time or not. The good. Set design and practicality. One of the only visually appealing aspects of this series is when actors are interacting with one another in a built set. Most of the sequences in this web series are shot with a digitally rendered background, but in the cases where the characters interact with one another in structured settings, the set decoration by Tanya Kapoor does lend an engaging visual appeal. What I can give to the creators is that they contributed a sense of practicality to the facial hair of the two main characters, Lord Ram and Lakshman, as they have beards. 14 साल के वनवास के दौरान भी clean shaven होना is a bit of a stretch. So the fact that the main characters have scruffy beards makes sense. The rest of the creative decisions for their costumes and makeup is something that really needs to be criticized. But we'll come to that later. Music. Sonu Nigam has sung a beautiful song titled Do Alag Dham Dekho Hue Siya Ram, with some poetic lyrics written by Aman Akshar. Many times this song plays in the background during the heartfelt sequences between Lord Ram and Sita, and I have to admit that I miss Sonu Nigam's voice, something that we grew up listening to in almost every movie. There is Jai Hanuman, also sung by Amitabh Bachchan, that enhances the otherwise disappointing web series. Now let's come to the main points. I didn't want to completely diss a series because I recognize the effort and volume of work required to execute such a series, so it's important to give credit where it's due, even if you have to dig deep for it. The underwhelming aspects. VFX, costume design and makeup. The VFX executed by the team of Ramyug is absolutely comical. The execution by the team is as detailed as the backgrounds of the 1v1 battles in Tekken 3. You will be provided flashbacks to the several games you played on your PlayStation 2, because that's the level of detailing of all the digitally rendered images of the show. From envisioning what Lanka would be like to the wreckage created by Lord Hanuman, the special effects of this web series will definitely disappoint you. Almost drop your jaw that they were approved, as they look like the mythological shows we have on TV channels like Colors, rather than a full-fledged series that is worthy of a digital OTT release. The poor special effects is not restricted to the background, but also extends to imported characters like Jatayu that doesn't possess any sentiment, mainly due to the poor animation. Even the action sequences that showcase mythical powers being used, you would get flashbacks to the 1987 TV show, as there has not been much of an upgrade from the rudimentary effects utilized close to 30 years ago. The costume design also is haphazard, almost unintentionally funny in some cases. The creative decision to make Vishwamitra wear all white, the Vanar Sena wearing short Uggs as footwear, the fake beards on Lord Hanuman and Sugriv seeming like the makeup execution of a primary school play, the spiked hair of Ravan lending zero amount of fear within audiences. Screenplay and action sequences. Ramayana works perfectly if told in chronological order. The progression of events are enough to develop intrigue and shock. With Ramyug, it attempts this jumbled up screenplay that confuses you more than anything else. Scenes are enacted, only leading to flashbacks to provide context as if to seem like a smart way to keep the future events at bay. But it just is messy in every way. Lord Ram being banished for 14 years, making the forest their home, the altercation with Surpanakha, the abduction by Ravan leading up to the ultimate war is the ideal progression that the creators should have stuck with. For it is a story that everyone knows, but can be enhanced by the talent and the attention to detail, both of which were lackluster. Events take place in the series, but the journey to them are barely explored. The action sequences are hilarious as well, a combination of poor wire work and a sloppy action choreography. Even something as small as the attack on Surpanakha is so terribly executed that I wondered how the creators approved of it. The abduction of Sita is laughable, almost having no sense of struggle in the process. Even the final battles with Indrajit, Kumkaran and Ravan are all shot in one location and come across as half-ass attempts that this series doesn't even draw you in for anything technical. Dialogue delivery. The talent involved in this project really disappoint you with their performances. If I have to give someone credit, it may be moments where Lakshman stands out while trying to protect his brother. But he is also handed dialogues that are quite contrary to Lakshman as a character, that it eventually takes away from why he was so memorable in the first place. Digant as Ram showcases earnest expressions, but what presumably seems like a dubbed voiceover takes away from his attempt of channeling the aura of Lord Ram. There is also a sense of aggression in this series, which is the antithesis of what Ramayana and their characters stand for. Even in the pandemonium that exists, there is a sense of calmness and sincerity within those characters. But in Ramyug, we see Lord Hanuman shouting and filled with such rage that it doesn't in any way give you a glimpse of Dara Singh as Hanuman from the 1987 TV show. Ravan, played by Kabir Duhan Singh, possesses not an iota of the intimidating presence of Arvind Trivedi, and even his dialogue delivery doesn't possess the same baritone and layered structure like that voiced beautifully by Amrish Puri in the 1992 film. There is a hilarious background score that plays which whispers Ravan as he sits on this bootleg the voice chair that rotates as he addresses his council. But it doesn't develop any fear within you. With all due respect to the actor, but he comes across more like a dabang villain in a commercial movie than what the presence of Ravan demands. Kunal Kohli also resorts to a commentary on the current situation in India. There are references of power and how India is under threat. There is a commentary on women, inequality and the double standards of society. But their placement in the epic is so abrupt and half-baked that the parallel between today and this epic also seems like a stretch. If any of the young children want a reference of the Ramayana, I would highly recommend the 1992 animated film that is available for free on YouTube. It is concise, effective, and a beautiful telling of the story. I can only hope that Om Raut's Adipurush doesn't turn out to be such a disappointment. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about the series. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.